Welcome to our live streams. This is where the grown-ups trade. No hype, no flexing, no TikTok guru nonsense. Just focus, discipline, and respect for the craft. Here we trade gold, the oldest store of value on Earth, at the precision scalping level. That's where trading gets real. Where a single tick too early or too late decides everything. It's the hardest style of trading there is. And the highest form, too, because it demands mastery of mind, structure, and emotion. Execution over ego. Reaction over prediction. Can it be the most lucrative? Yes, but only for those who earn it. There are no shortcuts here. You can't fake discipline at 10-second speed. Most gurus out there sell you dreams from their demo accounts. We build traders who can survive the market on their own terms. We don't promise easy wins. We teach you how to build a system that doesn't break when you do. If you're here, you already know what that takes. Courage, grit, gumption, the willingness to get punched in the face by uncertainty and still show up tomorrow with your rules intact. Because precision scalping isn't just a trading style, it's a mirror. It shows you who you are under pressure, and it forces you to get better, not just as a trader, but as a person. The focus you build here, the emotional control, the ability to act without hesitation, those are life skills. They translate everywhere. So welcome to the Barcelona Trader, where we practice the hardest craft in markets and one of the most rewarding in life. Let's get to work.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the live streams. It is starting now. All right, I had my camera on there a little earlier than I wanted to, but that's the way it goes. I'm not a professional broadcaster. I'm a professional trader. And this is where the adults trade. This is where we have an opportunity to be disciplined, to be professional traders. Let me turn that down just a little bit. I'm having a hard time talking over it, at least in my headphones. Great music. Mannheim Steamroller. Fresh Air 3 is the album. Okay. Let's see where things stand here. Look at this. We are at 4,870. My goodness. I mean, last evening, we were down over $100 from where we are now. Overnight, gold rose $100. And it wasn't driven by an interest rate decision. It wasn't driven by, anything in the market except all this tension around Greenland, Donald Trump's threats to the European, and the rupture of NATO, and where Canada's Prime Minister says there may be no going back. The world is trying to move on from the United States, decouple itself from the financial system and our trade networks. It is a sad state of affairs. It really is. All right, let me see. Trying to figure out what's going on with my Spotify stuff here. Can't seem to figure out. Oh, I see why. There we go. Okay. We're going to, as we usually do, calm this down as we slip into the zone. All right, let's start looking at what's going on here on the charts so we can figure out how we're going to trade today. And frankly, I don't know how much there's going to be. I don't know what trading's going to be like today. This is a unprecedented situation because this morning, even though Trump is apparently getting to Davos, the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, takes place once a year. It's where the world's wealthiest and the governments all get together and, congratulate each other about how rich they are, talk about policy, talk about world economics. And that is where yesterday Canada's Mark Carney made that speech that's been getting so much attention around the world for the way that it really took it to Donald Trump and unfortunately to the United States, saying that, hey, the world has got to move on. But Donald Trump arrives and he speaks today. It's scheduled for around 8:30 a.m., but I know that he was arriving about 3 hours late because Air Force One got, somewhere over the Atlantic, had a minor electrical problem, had to turn around, go back to Andrews Air Force Base, pick up Air Force, the other Air Force One that they have. They have two essentially identical planes that are always ready at any time. They got into the second one, took off and left. And that delay caused about Trump to arrive about 3 hours late in Davos. So if his speech is going to go on in time, it's going to be in less than an hour from now. I don't know how we're going to trade through that. I mean, who knows what he's going to say? And with the delay, because we're going to watch it on streaming, and there's always a few seconds delay there. The big boys and the Marcus, they're going to be listening to that on shortwave radio or have people in the room, and they're going to be able to make their moves before we can. So we're just going to be reacting as we always are, but at least when we're reacting to what we see on the charts, and not having to follow someone's words to the second. It's going to be interesting. I expect a lot of volatility whenever he speaks. Okay. Let's take a look at where things stand right now. Okay, join me over here, camera 3. Okay, here, let's see where we are. Well, look at the VIX. The VIX, way up there, 20.31. That's getting up there. Volatility index is getting to a point where we're seeing volatility. The US dollar, wow, taking a nosedive. I mean, a nosedive. We were up at 106, a year ago. And look at this, 98. I mean, the dollar is just very weak. This is the DXY is the dollar as measured against a basket of 7 foreign currencies, weighted differently depending on their importance. So it's the euro, it's the pound, it's the yen, it's the Swiss franc, it's even the New Zealand dollar. All right, so on the bottom here, we have, on the bottom right, we have the 1 minute DXY index. So we can see the dollar has been falling pretty dramatically since about 7 a.m. It is 7:41, so that's 41 minutes of drop. We can see that reflected up here. This is the 30-minute chart, so we actually have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 2 hours of drop. So if I were to back up here, yeah, look at that. That's been dropping for a while. This drop started around 6 a.m. actually. Okay, over here on the other side of the chart, we have the 30-minute 10-year U.S. government bond yield. We would be expecting that to go up, and it went up over the day yesterday. Look at that. Whoa. That rise started about 7 a.m. yesterday morning, making U.S. debt more expensive for the United States. And look at this. This is the 15-minute XAU chart, the gold chart. If I bring that to the 5-minute, we can see a little bit. Looks more stable there. That 15-minute, you can really see from where the market opened last night, right here, which was at right around 47.58. And by 1:15 a.m. New York time, we had reached another all-time high, 48.88.5. Wow, I've never seen it rise like that. I mean, you took a buy in Asia, held it. That was a good trade. You don't have to trade today if that's what you did. I hope that's what you did. You're just checking me out this morning here on stream for kicks and giggles. Okay. Here's the 1 minute chart, kind of giving us an idea of where we sit right now. Let me get the indicators off of here so we can kind of see where we stand in terms of pivots. We've got the DM4 here. So let me the DR2. So I'll make sure I'm getting that right. I think I am. Whoops, wrong chart. Yeah, DR2. And then above us, oh, come on, cursor. And then above us, we have the DR3, and then the MR3. And then above that, we have nothing. We have no pivots that extend above that. So not only, if we were to break 49.15 today, we would have nothing to help us guide where to trade, because we're at an all-time high. So there is no time in the past that price has been here. So we can't even look back at when that time might have been to see how price behaved and make inferences about how price might behave at this level this time. Doesn't exist. But we do at least have our pivots. The pivots are predictive indicators showing us where price might stop, evaluate its life options, decide whether it's going to go up or down from there. But when you run out of pivots, there's nothing there. There's nothing there. I guess you can calculate what the next pivot might be, but I don't know. This will be the first time, I think, since I've been trading for about 3 years that, I mean, it'll probably be the first time since anybody's been trading in the last 10 years that they will have seen this. This is a black swan event by any standard. Okay, it's 7:45, so that means it's time to open the Zoom room. I'll still continue explaining things, but as my colleagues show up, the show gets a little bit more entertaining. Now, what's going on here? Okay. Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, let's go back here to this is our MT4 over here. Let's kind of see where things stand. Let me bring up the other MT4 screen. All right, we have a 15-minute, well, look at that. So here we went all the way up here. This is where we hit our all-time high. This is a 15-minute chart right here, by the way. This is what I'm expanding. See it a little bit. Here we hit our all-time high. Came down significantly, came down to 48.37 again, kind of have gone back up here. And now we've just been in this chop. It's hasn't really been hitting up against this resistance up here, but something has just been keeping it in this zone for the last, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 hour, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 hour, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 hours and 15 minutes. All right, hang on just a minute, folks. Okay, so we've been doing that, and then we have the next to that, we have the hourly chart where you can see the same thing. It's just divided up into each candle being an hour long. All-time highs hit right there. And then bounce, just kind of sideways. All right, so can't really tell what we want to do now. Hey, there's
Good,
Tono.
man.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, bro?
Doing okay. Just talking about what's going on the charts here, about how last night at 7 o'clock or so, we started to see things moving up. We went up over $100 overnight.
Yeah, isn't that nuts?
Driven by nothing, just driven by the Greenland stuff.
Yeah.
It is
5K.
Yeah, it's looking like we might get there.
All right. I mean, we'll see it today, but we definitely gonna be seeing it next this thing.
I mean, if all of this stuff continues, yeah, but somebody's got to de-escalate it because we can't have this. I mean, NATO and Canada are talking about moving on from the U.S. about how that's doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
It's insane. I don't think anybody voted for this when they voted for Trump, honestly.
No, the problem is that one thing he did prove to us is that we don't have a democracy. You know, because they're letting this, they're supposed to keep them in check, and they're not.
Yeah.
They're letting them run wild, and that's the problem. You know.
Yeah. This is what you happen. This is what, they're letting the inmates run the insane asylum. That's what's happening here.
Yeah.
All right. So here we are at 48.59 right now. We have seen 48.88 overnight, so we're about $30 below where we've been. Trump got to Davos late. He had to turn his plane around due to a minor electrical issue overnight, pick up their second version of Air Force One, and go back to Switzerland. But if he's still on time, he was scheduled to speak at 8:30 a.m. New York time today. Today is Wednesday. Let's see if he's still on the calendar for that time. So he is. Says President Trump speaks at 8:30. That is going to be a volatile thing to trade through. We're going to put it on and listen to him. Unfortunately, we're going to have to listen to him and see what he has to say. But watch the market. And I think I'm just going to watch the market as he speaks. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of volume and a lot of volatility, I think. You will do well on spot. In fact, we should throw your screen up here and let people watch you trade spot through that.
Okay.
I think the way that we could do that is through Team Viewer. If I remove my I don't know. Do you want to do that? Do you want to share your screen? You don't have to.
What, on spot?
Yeah, or we can figure it out another time. Figure out technically how to.
Yeah,
do
we
it.
could. We could figure it out. But I think the problem is going to be, which I did this with a student, was when I share my screen, I have these monitors, these ultra long monitors. So they shrink down.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got to figure out how to fix that. I might have to get an alternative monitor for sharing the screen. You know?
Right. Well, since we haven't done it before, let's not try it live. Let's try it. Let's try it this afternoon or something when we're off, and then for next time we'll know how to. Because going forward with this show, if you're trading spot and I'm trading futures, we should be able to flick back
and forth
between your screen, my screen, things like that.
Yeah, I like that.
right, well, I'm going to see see if we can get a briefing.
Yeah, there's nothing on top of 49.90.
Yeah, there's right after the MR3, we don't even have any pivots above us.
Just on the monthly chart.
Right, the MR3 is at 49.15. So if we were to get above 49.15, there's no pivot above that.
Oh, right. You're 49, 49.10, so that's even
Oh, yeah.
even worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess they're going to recalculate themselves.
But not live, I don't think. I mean, they'll do it.
Yeah.
You'll do it after 6 p.m. So if we were to get up there now, we're flying completely blind with no support and resistance in sight and no pivots. I don't think I've ever seen that happen before.
No, I've never seen it either.
I'm working with a couple different AIs, still building the old GPT, and I'm finding that Gemini gives better market analysis than ChatGPT does right now.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Okay. I'll have an analysis for us to read. Meanwhile, we are 2.5 minutes away from 8 a.m.
When you get a second, take a look at those videos I showed to you, man.
Okay, I saw your premiere last night, the one with the woman speaking.
You saw one?
Yeah, you premiered it on YouTube, and I got an alert because I'm subscribed to your channel, so I saw
okay.
it. Yeah, I thought it was good. I thought that was good.
Good. That's is the older lady or the younger lady?
I guess the older lady.
Yeah, that was made for senior trading.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I thought that was good. Okay, hang on.
I didn't even know they were live.
Let's see. All right, let's see what 8 o'clock does here, which is in 1 minute, and then I'll pull up the briefing and we can read it. Music a little loud, or is it okay?
No, it's okay. It's 8 o'clock.
Yep, there it is. I don't think anything's going to happen because everyone's just going to wait for Trump to speak.
Yeah.
Bit of a push down, but probably just to the bottom of this 1 minute range.
Yeah.
All right, while we monitor that, I'm going to read the briefing. All right. This briefing was from 5 minutes ago, so time 7:55 Eastern, New York. The price was at 48.62, all-time high vibes, aggressively absurd. Good morning. If you're just waking up, yes, gold is at 48.62, and yes, the catalyst is exactly what you think it is, a text message about a participation trophy. If you missed the overnight wires, Trump reportedly texted the Prime Minister of Norway saying he no longer feels an obligation to think purely of peace because they didn't give him the Nobel Prize. So we now have 10% tariffs looming on the Arctic 8 starting February 1st, and European troops deploying to Nuuk. Nuuk is the capital of Greenland. We are literally trading a geopolitical tantrum over a metal.
Yeah.
The Nuuk session is about to open, and Trump is scheduled to speak in Davos in about 35 minutes at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Here's the don't short the ego game plan. The keynote speech, scalp analysis. 1. The context, which is critical. We are in the Davos waiting room. Trump is in Switzerland after a delay with Air Force One's wiring. You can't make this up. The event, he takes the mic at 8:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Scenario A deal. He announces a beautiful deal for Greenland and gold dumps $50 instantly. Scenario B, the tantrum. He doubles on the tariffs or mentions taking the island, and we rip up to 4,900 before you can blink. The levels, blue sky mode. We are in price discovery. The chart has no left side. The floor, support, 4,820. This is the overnight pivot. If the speech is boring, we drift back here. The sand in the line, the line in the sand, is 4,800 psychological and structural support. The ceiling, the target, is 4,880, and then 4,937. Why 4,937? It's a Fibonacci extension. But let's be real, the next target is 5,000 because humans love big round numbers during a crisis. The strategy, sit on your hands until 8:30. Do not try to front run the speech. The algo fade. If he says the word tariff, algos will bid XAU up. Watch for a wick rejection at 4,880. Don't short the trend. I know it feels expensive, but trying to short the market driven by a nuclear power feuding over a peace prize is a great way to blow an account. Final thought, we are one tweet away from 5,000 or 4,700. The market isn't trading economics, it's trading the mood of one man on a stage in Switzerland. Grab your coffee. The speech is going to be expensive for someone. And that's the analysis.
Yep.
If you missed the analysis, you can go find it on Facebook. Just search for a group called Gold Traders with the Barcelona Trader logo, and that's where you'll find the analysis published before every session, or as every session gets started. All right, I'm going to start setting Bloomberg so we can watch this whatever
Disaster.
we want to call this very interesting speech.
A couple thousand companies that have been sitting there that have billion-dollar market.
I think I'll mute that and begin moving it over. Oops, I don't want to. I'm going to do this. There we go, I think. Just make sure I haven't covered you up with that. Yeah, we're good. All right, I guess with nothing better to do, since we're probably not, I don't know about you, are you trading before 8:30?
I doubt it, seriously, unless you see something really clean.
All right, I'm going to turn on the Bloomberg volume just so it's playing a bit in the background, but I'll try to keep it low enough for us to talk over if we have anything to say.
Okay.
And I'm going to switch the off while I do that.
Things you guys have talked a lot about is so much of the equity base has become either beta or it's become kind of the 7 or 8 names. Well, what if there's some additional companies that $300, $400, $500 billion market cap?
Can you hear that?
Trillion and a half dollar market cap. The active management community says, I want to own that. I want to own that from the time of the IPO. So I think it's not just Wall Street getting to know these companies. It's a whole bunch of investors who have either backed into early rounds or want to be there when the IPO comes.
When we were speaking with you a year ago in these seats, you were talking about how it was going to be a great year for IPOs and M&A, and it was for your bottom line. You had an incredible year. There was, though, a lot of IPOs and a lot of deals that got stymied by Liberation Day, policy uncertainty. What has to go right for some of these deals to come to fruition? OpenAI, Anthropic, SpaceX.
Well, I think part of the reason these companies are so interesting to investors is they are not rushed to go public. So there has to be an element of being patient if you're in and around the ecosystem. They don't have to come in the first half of 26. They can come in the second half of 26. They can even come in 27. But they are drawing a whole bunch of interest to names like them, derivative plays in the ecosystem as you sort of disaggregate the entire AI daisy chain where you want to play. So the anticipation of the company going public almost is as important as the company itself coming. But whether they come, Lisa, in 26 or 27, they're going to come. They're going to come.
It's sort of a dissonance right now when you talk to business leaders about how much enthusiasm there is for deals and for energy in the U.S. economy, and then when you hear the policymakers, and you hear uncertainty, and you hear Sell America. How do you square those two narratives at a time where you do hear a growing number of investors say they are diversifying away from U.S. assets?
I hear you guys talking about this a lot. I think there are two separate phenomena, but they're not exclusive. One is we got the arc of history. You know, I've gone on about the end of history and that things would get going again, and the nation states would be battling for hegemony and kind of trying to, you know, win out on the rise and fall nations. That's just a historical fact that kind of got, there was an interregnum between Berlin Wall and COVID. We're actually back to the balance of human history as we've all studied, and that means there's going to be the kind of stuff that we are living through right now. It's just been a while. And I don't know necessarily that is something we should expect to go away anytime soon. There's going to be renationalizing, nationalizing, and that means in some cases there'll be higher country risk, there'll be maybe pockets of illiquidity, there may be opportunistic transactions or allocations that happen, but after 20 years of financial repression, we're back to live markets and live nation states. That's here. But at the same time, you have the U.S. capital markets, which are more than half the capital stock, and the reality is, very basically, as we know, corporate health is excellent. Consumer health at the top end is excellent, and obviously the administration's getting after housing for the bottom half of the K. Earnings, as you know, grew 8% this year. They could grow in the mid-teens next year. That's double the long-term average. That's pretty good. So good corporate, good consumer, excellent capital markets, an easier Fed to lower by 75. Maybe there's more to go. Maybe it's a demand-driven 2026, in which case the Fed doesn't have to move. We have good inflation. We keep on powering forward growth. Or maybe it's supply side, where they're spending, but there isn't the same kind of job creation, and the Fed will help out. So they're downside cases, but just in the main, and the tailwinds of deregulation in the bill are kicking in, it kind of is hard to argue against the 26 U.S.-led growth case. Now, we could get in a debate about where asset prices should be, but in terms of just 2 years ago, we were talking about recession. Last year, we weren't sure because the administration was coming in. We're not talking about that today. So for our business, very simply, we write tickets at kind of 2 times GDP nominal. And so if you think about our wealth and investment bank, if we're going to grow, 5-10% on a 2 times basis, nominally, that should be pretty good for our business if we're doing our job.
Corporate health is very good. It's excellent. Sovereign health is questionable.
Right.
Can we talk about that?
Right.
The move in the last 24 hours, the live market stuff, let's get into that. The move in Japan at the long end of the curve, is that a warning shot? Is that the start of something bigger?
Well, I mean, this Japan trade's been talked about forever. And I would expect that in a lot of, highly indebted countries, off the Liz Truss moment, where the demographics are poor and you don't have the wherewithal or fiat to kind of work your way through that, there could be some vulnerability. So what does that mean? That means if we were sort of do our economics meets, poli-sci thing, I think that means you want to get closer to places where you can act in your joint economic interest. And I think the Japanese example is one that we should continue to pay attention to. I wouldn't be surprised if we see pockets of that now and then when, there's a little talk of the balance sheet looks lousy, but we're going to inject a little stimulus and let's see if anyone notices. Yeah, they noticed. So, you sort of have to, then you adjust. It's a trial balloon. It gets pulled back, and that's probably healthy for markets. You see a lot of that's been bought back today, but that's different than the U.S. Treasury phenomenon. That's been hugely overblown. The reality is that when we did this a year ago, the Treasury Secretary, as you know better than anyone, was talking about the 10-year being so important to keep an eye on. I think the 10-year is around 457, 455, 460. Now it's at 425, 430. So the 10-year is doing its job. There's some steepening. Yes, it's probably healthy. So I do think there's a conflation between kind of U.S. Treasury phenomenon and the world. And I think there's a difference, and we just have to continue to highlight the difference.
Very quickly, Ted, because you spent time, you grew up in Venezuela. New world now. Are you planning to maybe help facilitate companies go back in?
I had not prepped for that question.
You lived it.
Thank you so much.
That's why I'm interested, because you have a different take probably than every other CEO walking around this forum.
Well, Venezuela is an extraordinary place, has a proud, but now in recent decades, very troubled history, but is, if you know your Monroe Doctrine, critical, and has, albeit, as you've talked about at length, it's more sulfuric, but very high, vast quantities of oil beneath the ground. So do I think Venezuela is going to be relevant? I think Latin America is going to be relevant. I think the hemisphere is going to be relevant in its sort of thinking around how it wants to get closer while maintaining its own political and social independence from the U.S., but I think a coming together of some places may make some sense and may be in the broader economic interest, back to the previous question.
That was a fantastic answer.
Thank you so much.
Brilliant. I've got one more.
Yes, sir.
It's not a landmine. There was some news earlier about Deutsche Bank, and I just want to breathe some life into that story. And essentially, the Treasury Secretary came out. There was some research that he didn't like, and according to him, the Deutsche Bank CEO has turned around and said, I don't stand by that research. That's basically the point. Is it difficult for the research department at Morgan Stanley to say what they think in an environment like this one? And I ask this question because I know some tremendous individuals at Morgan Stanley in research, and they are all highly intelligent, capable, and have their own thoughts about where they think we are in this moment right now. But is it difficult in the C-suite to allow them just to go out there full throttle, full-blooded, and just say what they really think about this moment?
Absolutely not. I've not had a piece of research at my desk for a yellow light or a no-go. I think what gets a little tricky is these institutions also have desk analysts. So I don't know if this one came out of the research department or maybe
It's looking like
desk analyst sitting in one of the divisions.
Dollar is weaker than
To
gold,
answer
but
your
they're
question
both weak
directly,
right now.
we celebrate broad opinion. I do think, but to give not kind of the standard answer, part of the reason you like our research is because it's not just regurgitation, because we all have a Bloomberg terminal, okay? So it has to have some kind of value add, but it doesn't have to just be provocation for its own sake. So we have industry leaders, we have sector leaders, we have Seth Carpenter, who you pointed out. I was watching you talk to him, and that was quite a moment.
Okay. So when I looked down the bar of the camera, you're actually there. Okay.
Starbucks all over my suit. So thanks for that. That was excellent. So you had at least one viewer that day, and that was me. So and Seth, but the answer is the independence of research is important. We've invested in it for all these years. That having been said, sort of writing research to just sort of provoke and kind of get your Warhol moment, I mean, that is not really fair to the institution either. And it puts the particular government or whomever in an awkward spot because they read the research. So I think there's got to be a balance between independent integrity in what you're writing and writing something that actually is meant to add value and bring intellectual capital to the fore.
Send me the dry cleaner, Bill. I'll sort that out for you.
I didn't actually spit it up. I just swallowed and smiled.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ted Pick there, the Morgan Stanley chairman and CEO. Let's give an update on stories worldwide with your Bloomberg brief. Here's Vonnie Quinn. Hey, Vonnie.
Hey, John, thank you. The Justice Department sending grand jury subpoenas to multiple Minnesota officials, including Governor Tim Walz and Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. The subpoenas are part of an investigation into whether they conspired to impede federal immigration enforcement activity. The move escalates a standoff over ICE efforts to deport people who are allegedly in the country illegally. U.S. Trade Representative Jameson Greer says another round of trade talks between the U.S. and China is possible ahead of President Donald Trump's planned meeting with Xi Jinping in China this April. Greer spoke after Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent held an informal meeting with the Chinese Vice Premier on Monday. Commuter rail service has been suspended in Spain's Catalonia region after a commuter train crashed Tuesday night. Spanish authorities said at least one person died and 37 others were injured in the crash. The news coming, of course, just days after Spain's worst railway disaster since 2013. That killed at least 42 people and injured dozens. And that is your Bloomberg brief. John.
Hey, Vonnie, thank you. Appreciate it. Up next on the programme, BNY CEO Robin Vince, plus the President, set to address the World Economic Forum right here in Davos, Switzerland.
Some pretty good movement last night.
Oh, it was up. Okay, good morning, E-Man. It was up 100 points, 100 bucks overnight, more than 100 bucks.
Yeah, I rode it up to like 80, somewhere around.
Wow. Nice. You must have got a ton of pips.
Yeah, I did. Actually, I got quite a few. Can't remember what it was. And it act like it wanted to keep on going. No,
Yeah.
I think I rode up to 66.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I rode up to 66.
Yeah, it eventually hit 88.
Yeah.
22 more points, but that was good. Good. We got the I'm not really trading, neither's Tono right now. We've got the president speaking at 8:30 in Davos, Switzerland. And I read a briefing. Well, I didn't write it. I had Gemini write it. But Gemini writes it in my style. So it's like I wrote it. And basically says, look, the president can come out with, 2 or 3 different things. One, if he comes out, doubles down on tariffs and on Greenland, then gold is going to spike. If he comes out and says, we've reached a deal on Greenland and everything's going to be okay and everybody's happy, then gold is going to drop like a rock. And, if he just rambles about grievances and the Nobel Peace Prize and everything, then, I don't know, we'll see some volatility, but who knows?
Yeah.
More importance following the events of the last weekend and the tension building between European officials and the President of the United States. Following that address, full coverage right here on Bloomberg Surveillance. We'll catch up with the National Economic Council Director, Kevin Hassett, on the content on that speech and the way forward.
So Kevin Hassett has really been the one going out and promoting, teasing out what the president is going to discuss here in Davos when it comes to the housing market, when it comes to the credit card interest rate caps. On top of that, we do know that the president is not going to make a decision when it comes to the Fed chair race here in Davos. But that someone, Kevin Hassett, is still in the running. So potentially maybe he can tell us what the conversations have been like over the past 24, 48 hours.
Which Kevin's in front right now?
I don't know.
I've
It
not been
depends on
watching.
the hair.
Is that what it depends on?
A lot of things.
Wash is a little bit more slick.
He's got a lot,
polished.
the hair is a little bit more puffy. Look, we have no idea, and it's not clear right now that the president knows exactly who he's going to pick. So we're not going to hear it now, but certainly he'll be asked, or certainly say on whatever is in the plan.
So what were you doing?
Some input this evening when he sits around for a business roundtable. He's going to be meeting with CEOs right here at the forum, and he might say, straw poll, what do you guys think of Rick Reeder? What do you think of Kevin Hassett?
Is that how this is going to work?
Well, in Tokyo, remember, he called out Scott Bessent and said, I want you to take the job. And Scott Bessent says, no, I like where I am at Treasury. So, yeah, that's how it is. Prepare for a lot of weaving, as he calls it.
That address is about 10 minutes away. Look out for that. Let's talk about the financial system and banking. I'm pleased to say that joining us now is Robin Vince, the CEO of BNY Mellon. Robin, good to see you.
It's good to be with you all. Thank you on such an interesting day.
You are
Dallas is the place.
20% of investable assets. I mean, that's a lot of things. What are you seeing right now? Are you seeing those changes that people are talking about, that diversification away from US assets? Do you see that at all?
Now, we really don't see that in the data at this point. I remember where we've come from, which is the US has been really an incredibly strongly performing market, strong economy. People have been predicting the US to be in some type of decline from an economic point of view, recessions. We've talked about that in the past 2 or 3 years. None of that's actually happened. And in fact, now I think you find, and you've heard this on your show, more optimism associated with what the next year holds from an economic point of view. GDP pretty solid, looking to potentially even expand in 2026. You've got the stimulus checks coming, the way that they actually didn't adjust the withholding in order to be able to encourage those stimulus checks. That all is a pretty good setup. Now, you've got to be in the preparedness business. We're all risk managers. And at the end of the day, you've got to be resilient because things can go wrong, things can happen. But I think that's the setup. And so reallocating away from the US in the face of that, probably not the smartest choice to make, but you've got to be diversified. So you cannot have the concentration. The US has been a pretty concentrated bet over the past few years.
Although, what's the consequence of that? I mean, there's a difference between reallocating away from and diversifying. There is some knock-on effect, which is maybe some people are calling sell America. Other people are just saying diversifying and hedging your bets. I mean, how much will that affect the funding conditions of the United States?
Look, diversification makes sense. One needs to have a balanced portfolio. It's just good risk management. It's good investment management to make sure that you've got exposure to the various different opportunities that are out there. But we certainly have seen, and look around, we're a global firm. We provide platforms and serve clients all across the world. But when you look at the US and you just look at the facts of the performance over the course of the past decade, you look at all the innovation that's been in the US, all of the value that's created, AI is one example, technology more generally, it would have been a mistake to not have participated in the US market. And so a little bit of rebalancing, a little bit of sort of thinking about how to make sure you've got the right portfolio, whether it's equities, fixed income. We talk about 60-40, oh gosh, it was dead, now it's back. Bonds, okay, where do you want to be exposed to in the bond market? The US bond market is still the most liquid market in the world, and it is still the closest thing to a risk-free asset that there actually is.
How important is it that Senator Tom Tillis stays in Senate at least for the next 364 days? He was on just moments ago with us, and he was talking about how he's not going to hold confirmation hearings until the DOJ suit or inquiry into Fed Chair Jay Powell is lifted. I'm just wondering from your perspective how important it is to see that type of noise die down around the Federal Reserve for you to feel confident that this truly is going to remain the status quo going forward.
Right. Well, the senator's a great public servant, and I appreciate all of his time serving in the U.S. Senate. But I think you hit the key point, which is at the end of the day, it's not super helpful for the long-term objectives of the U.S., which are keep interest rates on the low side, to be able to make it easier for people to be able to borrow, to be able to buy a home, to be able to fund a car payment, for companies to be able to borrow in order to be able to fund and invest their businesses. For all of that, we want low rates. So creating and sort of shaking at the foundation of the independence of monetary policy, that's not really in the interests of keeping long-term rates low. So I think it is helpful if that dies down. We can get back to the business of really seeing the economy perform.
Counterproductive, which is the words you used in the past when it comes to it. Have you had any engagement with the White House about this issue, given the concerns?
You know, we're always talking to the administration, making sure that we're giving our point of view. And so that's, of course, that's one of our jobs. And one of my jobs as a CEO is to be talking all across the administration and in Congress and giving them our perspective. And I do think it is in the interests, and the administration's been very clear. They would like to see long-term interest rates lower because it benefits companies and individuals. And so if that's the objective, then making sure that we're keeping the Federal Reserve sort of a little bit out of the news and not super controversial, I would personally say would be in furtherance of that objective.
It's certainly very much in the news at the moment. Robin, can we talk about your business?
Yeah,
How's BNI changing? In what direction are you leaning into?
Well, we've been reimagining the company, to be quite honest. You know, we've got a fun history. We're 240 years old. We were born right around the time of the United States, 1784, oldest bank in the nation, one of the oldest companies in New York. It's
U.S. markets. If I think about AstraZeneca and the moves that they made, they're going to be debuting on us through ordinary shares on February 2nd. They've seen 30% growth in their stock. There's still a tremendous amount of demand to tap the U.S. capital markets because of the unrivaled pool of liquidity, unrivaled transparency, and the amazing innovation that happens in the U.S., all of which I expect he's going to speak about.
Late last year, there was supposed to be a huge boom in IPOs, and it was stymied by the government shutdown because some of those offices weren't open to actually sign off on the deals. I'm just wondering how much that slowed things down in a way that still remains to be seen whether it can all come back.
Yeah, it slowed it down operationally, but it didn't slow it down from a coming to market perspective. If I look at our pipeline, we're expecting a tremendous amount of activity in these next couple of weeks. Actually, we have a deal on the road at the moment. We have another deal going next week. Early February is queuing up to be quite active, but we really see it towards the back end of Q1 into Q2 with many deals targeting their public market debuts then.
There was a pause around Liberation Day. From Lisa's point, there was a pause around the 43-day government shutdown. Could we potentially see a Greenland pause? We did see some pushback from the financial markets.
I don't know. Again, I think these companies are looking to tap the broadest investor pool possible and diversify their investor base. And there really isn't any substitute for that for the medium to long term. The private markets have done a good job in financing these companies and enabling these companies.
You know, guys, one thing I'm thinking is if everybody anticipates that he's going to say the word tariffs and that he's going to double the, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Tono?
are working
Yeah, I can hear you.
with
Yeah,
Chairman
you can't hear me?
Atkins and his team on for companies to go public. Now, that involves a variety of items.
I think I
It's
lost-
not just about quarterly
I lost
versus
you guys.
semi-annual reporting.
No, I can hear you.
If you look at some of the pro-business
Oh, let me turn up my
legislation in a
volume
state
here.
like Texas
No, we can hear you.
has produced,
Oh,
that's
man.
designed
You can hear me,
to
Tono?
take away
Nod
that
your head.
Yeah.
uncertainty, that litigation
Okay, I
risk,
can't hear you,
lessen
so I
that
got
likelihood.
something
It's
going
why
on.
Yep.
you've seen Texas become such a popular location for companies to incorporate in, and it's why we formed NYSE Texas last year as the first Texas incorporated exchange.
We could see some
Weird.
mega IPOs in the next 12
Anyway,
months.
I'll say what I was going to say.
OpenAI,
One of the things I'm thinking
Okay.
is that
on and on and on.
gold is really,
But
really
it's
high
actually-
right now.
I'm the only one not excited
And there
about
might
24
be
hours, 24/7.
a lot of institutions that say this is a great area to take profit. And so if Trump says something that drives price up, that could be the moment that they all want to sell right into all of the buyers. And so it could spike up, and then you hit all of those sellers that say that now's the time to sell, and it just drives it straight down. That's kind of one of my fears there.
Yeah.
And I still can't hear you, so let me figure out what's going on. Say something now?
Testing 1, 1, 1. Still can't hear?
No. Now?
Yeah.
Okay, now
you
I
still
can
can't
hear
hear?
you. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay. Yeah, that's possible what you just said. I mean, with gold being this high, it has to come down before, it doesn't have to, but it really should have come down the last couple of days, but I don't understand why it's just blasting through these all-time highs
Right.
I know.
with no real.
Reasoning.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, the reason is the Greenland thing, but it's not as if we declared war or anything, you know,
Right.
Right. Yeah.
just a bunch of talk, and he's good for talk, you know.
hmm Yeah, because that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, okay, this, whatever the crisis is, it's going to get resolved, at least resolved in some way that's going to lower the tension a little bit before it rises again. And so if I were the institutions and I see gold this high and and he says something that is going to cause retail traders and, you know, some of the smaller market makers to buy, they're just going to sell into that. And yeah, I don't know. Looks like
Yeah,
we're
but I
trying.
mean, where they bought it, they already have plenty of profit to take,
Yeah, true. Yeah,
and
exactly.
banks don't like to buy at the top. They just don't buy at the top.
Right.
So I think they're going to push it down, get discount, wipe out the stop losses, and then grind it back up to 5,000,
Yeah.
5K.
Yeah. Yeah.
The question is, can we catch any of it? Or is it
Yeah,
too,
that's
or is,
the
or is it too dangerous,
Right. Right.
and just wait for the smoke to clear.
Yeah. I'm feeling
Yeah.
it's too dangerous. If I take anything, I'm turning off my funded accounts and just trading my. Look at this. It's now it's going up. Okay,
Yeah.
Trump's taking the stage.
Perhaps we'll glean some sort of information on what potential offerings could look like.
Tyler, I just want to take these pictures in full, just to give everyone at home just an idea of what's happening right now.
Not to mention there's a lot of resistance right now on a 5-minute and 15-minute and the 1 hour.
Being introduced at the moment by the co-chair of the World Economic Forum, Larry Fink. That room is absolutely packed. It took a long time to get into the convention center a little bit earlier on this morning, and I imagine it took a lot of effort to get one of those seats in that room.
Absolutely. Individuals were lining up. This was a must-see event. This is the ticket of the week, especially given the fact that the president has completely disrupted the Davos agenda when it comes to foreign policy. He has threatened tariffs on Europe and a number of nations if he does not get what he says Greenland, which is critical to national security. I spoke with Ambassador Jameson Greer earlier. He sees this as two tracks. He's saying, yes, the Europeans bring up Greenland, but we have a trade deal. It's like, but the Europeans are saying that now we're adding more tariffs, so that might mean that negates the prior trade deal. There's a lot of discussions around Greenland and what this means for Europe. And the fact of the matter is it could have unintended consequences we saw on full display yesterday when it comes to the Prime Minister of Canada.
The Prime Minister of Canada with a very blunt, I would say almost aggressive speech yesterday. We've all talked about this radical transparency that's come to the surface at this forum, where people are no longer saving it for behind closed doors. They're saying it just up front on the record about what they think. Prime Minister Mark Carney saying this is not a transition, this is a rupture. He said it's a new world order. Middle powers need to understand that. Now, my question, Lisa, is okay, that's the conclusion. Now, show me the
You guys
action.
bought into
What
it?
are the concrete steps you'll be taking?
now. I was in a buy earlier, and once it dropped down, I caught a little bit coming back up, and I've been out since like 65. But I knew it was going up here. I should have just stayed in my buy.
Do you just make yourself persona non grata and put yourself in a worse position in some of these negotiations? It's a dance right now, and you could feel that in some of the text chains that were released with the president on Truth Social.
I don't think we even need the text chains anymore. Just listen to the words of the French President Emmanuel Macron in the last 24 hours, accusing the Americans of trying to subordinate the
Showed me
Europeans.
100, but I didn't get out in time. There, would have given it to me again. But
Hey,
hey, $50, $50.
Yeah, $50, $50.
In a much anticipated speech at the World Economic Forum, the President of the United States.
Here he goes.
I don't hear anything.
He hasn't started yet. Here he comes.
Well, thank you very much, Larry. It's great to be back in beautiful Davos, Switzerland, and to address so many respected business leaders, so many friends, few enemies, and all of the distinguished guests. It's a who's who, I will say that. I've come to this year's World Economic Forum with truly phenomenal news from America. Yesterday marked the one-year anniversary of my inauguration, and today, after 12 months back in the White House, our economy is booming, growth is exploding, productivity is surging, investment is soaring, incomes are rising. Inflation has been defeated, our previously open and dangerous border is closed and virtually impenetrable.
Best president ever.
And the United States is in the midst of the fastest and most dramatic economic
If all of that were true, it would be.
turnaround in
Exactly.
history.
He's just lying. None of what he's saying, man, is true.
It's true.
Nightmare of stagflation, meaning low growth and high
Well, we're
inflation
equal
a recipe
opportunity
for
country now.
misery, failure, and
Joe Biden
decline.
used to get up there and lie to
But
so that
now,
Bill Clinton.
Hey,
after just 1 year
E-Man, you and I, we
of
sit
my
here and we
policies,
watch the
we're
economic
witnessing
news
the
come
exact
out every
opposite.
week, and he's saying the
Virtually no
exact
inflation
opposite of what we see
and
and what we trade.
extraordinarily high economic growth. Growth like
Now, what was Joe Biden
I
doing?
believe you'll see very shortly.
Making numbers work.
Our country
Hang on,
is
we're,
maturity
let's
forward like no
let's
country has
listen.
ever
Let's
seen
listen. Let's
before.
not talk politics. Let's listen.
Over the past 3 months, been just 1.6%. Meanwhile, fourth quarter growth is projected to be 5.4%, far greater than anybody other than myself and a few others had predicted. Since the election, the stock market has set 52 all-time high records. So that's in 1 year, 52 records, adding $9 trillion in value to retirement accounts, 401ks, and people's savings. People are doing very well. They're very happy with me. Since my inauguration, we've
As his
lifted more
polls
than
are the lowest
1.2
ever.
million people off of
Exactly.
food stamps, and after 4 years in which Biden secured less than $1 trillion of new investment in our country. Think of that, 1 trillion, substantially less than that. In 4 years, we've secured commitments for a record-breaking $18 trillion, and we think when the final numbers come out, they'll be closer to $20 trillion of investment. That's never been done by any country at any time, not even close. Just over 1 year ago, under the radical left Democrats, we were a dead country. Now we are the hottest country anywhere in the world.
Oh,
In fact, the United States
Hi, sweetie.
economy is on pace to grow.
this is why I can't listen to it.
I know.
It's just so much bullshit.
Just last
Get to the
April.
point so we can start
And
trading.
with my growth and tariff policies, it
Oh,
should
look,
be
now.
Here he
much
goes. Here he
higher,
goes.
but we
Tariffs.
believe it
Tariffs.
will be much higher than that. And this is all great news, and it's great for all nations. The USA is the economic engine on the planet, and when America booms, the entire world booms. It's been the history.
That's
When
true.
it goes bad, it goes bad. You all follow us down, and you follow us up, and we're at a point that I don't believe we've ever been. I never thought we could do it this quickly. My biggest surprise is I thought it would take more than a year, maybe like a year and 1 month.
Starting to get a little
It's happened
volatile
very
here.
quickly.
On
This afternoon, I want to
gold starting to
discuss
up,
how
down,
we
up, down.
achieve this economic miracle, how we intend to raise living standards for our citizens to levels never seen before, and perhaps how you too and the places where you come from can do much better by following what we're doing, because certain places in Europe are not even recognizable, frankly, anymore. They're not recognizable. And we can argue about it, but there's no argument. Friends come back from different places. I don't want to insult anybody and say I don't recognize it. And that's not in a positive way. That's in a very
Well,
negative
that part
way.
is true.
And I love Europe, and I want to see Europe go good. But it's not heading
Go
in the right
good.
direction. In recent decades, it became conventional wisdom in Washington and European capitals that the only way to grow a modern Western economy was through ever-increasing government spending, unchecked mass migration, and endless foreign imports. The consensus was that so-called dirty jobs and heavy industry should be sent elsewhere, that affordable energy should be replaced by the Green New Scam, and that countries could be propped up by importing new and entirely different populations from faraway lands. This was the path that sleepy Joe Biden administration and many other Western governments very foolishly followed, turning their backs on everything that makes nations rich and powerful and strong. And there's so much potential in so many nations. The result was record budget and trade deficits and a growing sovereign deficit driven by the largest wave of mass migration in human history. We've never seen anything like it. Quite frankly, many parts of our world are being destroyed before our very eyes, and the leaders don't even understand what's happening. And the ones that do understand aren't doing anything about it. Virtually all of the so-called experts predicted my plans to end this failed model would trigger a global recession and runaway inflation. But we have proven them wrong. It's actually just the opposite. In 1 year, our agenda has produced a transformation like America has not seen in over 100 years. Instead of closing down energy plants, we're opening them up. Instead of building ineffective, money-losing windmills, we're taking them down and not approving any. Instead of empowering bureaucrats, we're firing them, and they're going out and getting jobs in the private sector for 2 and 3 times what they were making in government. So they started off hating me when we fired them, and now they love me. Instead of raising taxes on domestic producers, we're lowering them and raising tariffs on foreign nations to pay for the damage that they've caused. In 12 months, we have removed over 270,000 bureaucrats from the federal payrolls, the largest single-year reduction in government employment since the end of World War II. Nobody thought that was coming, but we had no choice. To make a country great, you can't have all federal jobs. We've cut federal spending by $100 billion and slashed the federal budget deficit by 27% in the single year. It's going to go down quite a bit more from that. Driving inflation way down from the record highs of the Biden administration. Every month, they went up and up and up. I promised to cut 10 old regulations for every single new regulation. But instead, I've cut actually till this point 129 regulations for every 1 new regulation approved. So every time they come in with a new regulation, we do at least 10, but so far it's averaging out to 129, if you can believe it. In July, we passed the largest tax cuts in American history, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security for our great seniors.
Did he pass that?
We also provided 100% expensing. That's the one they like. And bonus
There are some nuances in there, but yeah.
Equipment and capital investments to help companies expand and shift production to America. They are so in love with that. They build a plant, they're able to deduct it immediately, the whole thing, rather than waiting 38 to 41 years in the old days. This is a miracle taking place. Nobody thought it would ever be done by any country. It's done by us. It was what made my first term the most successful 4-year term that we've ever had from a financial standpoint. And now we've upped it. This is a 10-year program, not a 1-year program. But you're allowed to deduct everything in 1 year. It used to be 38 to 41 years. With tariffs, we've radically reduced our ballooning trade deficit, which was the largest in world history. We were losing more than $1 trillion every single year, and it was just wasted. It was going to waste.
It's insane.
But in 1 year, I slashed our monthly trade deficit by a staggering 77%, and all of this with no inflation, something everyone said could not be done. There were a couple of brilliant people that actually thought I was doing the right thing. I thought I was doing the right thing. Now they all think I'm doing the right thing because they can't believe the numbers. American exports are now up by more than $150 billion. Domestic steel production is up by 300,000 tons a month,
true.
and it's doubling over the next 4 months. It's doubling.
And it's mostly
and
because of the
tripling.
falling dollar.
We have steel plants being built all over the country. Nobody thought they'd see that. Factory construction is up by 41%. And that number is really going to skyrocket right now because that's during a process that they're putting in to get their approvals, and we've given very, very quick, fast approvals.
More factories were built under
We made
Biden.
historic trade deals with partners covering 40% of all U.S. trade. Some of the greatest companies and countries in the world. We have countries as our partner, too. The European nations, Japan, South Korea. They're our partners. They've got into massive deals with us, especially on oil and gas. And these agreements raise growth and cause stock markets to boom, not only in the U.S., but virtually every country that came to make a deal because, as you've learned, when the United States goes up, you follow. It's really become a staple. In America, I've stopped the nation-wrecking energy policies that drive up prices while sending jobs and factories to the world worst polluters. They are indeed polluters under Sleepy Joe Biden. New domestic oil and gas leases fell by 95%. Think of that. And they wonder, why was gasoline going up so fast? The gasoline actually topped $5 a gallon, and some places $7 a gallon, and more than 100 major power plants were violently shut down by incompetent people that had no idea what the hell they were doing. Under my leadership, U.S. natural gas production is at an all-time high by far. U.S. oil production is up by 730,000 barrels a day, and last week we picked up 50 million barrels from Venezuela alone. Venezuela has been an amazing place for so many years, but then they went bad with their policies. 20 years ago it was a great country, and now it's got problems, but we're helping them. And those 50 million barrels, we're going to be splitting up with them, and they'll be making more money than they've made in a
It's
long
their
time.
oil.
Venezuela's going to do fantastically well. We appreciate
We're
all
going
the
to split it with them.
cooperation
Yeah.
we've been giving great cooperation. Once the attack ended, and they said, let's make a deal. More people should do that. But Venezuela is going to make more money in the next 6 months than they've made in the last 20 years. Every major oil company is coming in with us. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing to see. The leadership of the country has been very good. They've been very, very smart. The price of gasoline is now below $2.50 a gallon in many states, $2.30 a gallon in most states. Then we'll soon be averaging less than $2 a gallon. In many places, it's already down even lower, $1.95 a gallon. Numerous states are at $1.99, numbers that nobody has heard for years. Actually, since my last administration, we got it down to around those numbers. I've signed an order directing and approval of many new nuclear reactors. We're going heavy into nuclear. I was not a big fan because I didn't like the risk, the danger, but they have the progress they've made with nuclear is unbelievable, and the safety progress they've made is incredible. We're very much into the world of nuclear energy, and we can have it now at good prices and very, very safe. And we're leading the world in AI by a lot. We're leading China by a lot. I think President Xi respects what we've done, in part because I've allowed these big companies building these massive buildings to build their own electric capacity. They're building their own power plants, which when added up is more than any country anywhere in the world is doing. I read recently an article in the Wall Street Journal that China's creating so much energy, and they are, got to hand it to them. But we're creating as much or more, and we're letting them do that. I'm very proud of it. It was my idea. I said, you can't create this much energy. We needed more than double the energy currently in the country just to take care of the AI plants. And I said, we can't do that. We have an old grid system. And I came up with the idea, you people are brilliant. You have a lot of money. Let's see what you can do. You can build your own electric generating plants. And they looked at me. They didn't believe me. All of the names that are, I think, in the room right now, if you want to know the truth, they didn't believe it. And I said, no, you can't. They came back 2 weeks and they didn't have the plant. They said, we thought you were kidding. I said, no, not only am I not kidding, you're going to have your approvals within 2 weeks. I always say nuclear will take 3 weeks. But most aren't going that. They're going oil and gas. They're even going coal in some cases. Because of my landslide election victory, the United States avoided the catastrophic energy collapse
Crazy, right?
which befell every European nation that pursued the Green New Scam, perhaps the greatest hoax in history. The Green New Scam, windmills all over the place, destroy your land. Every time that goes around, you lose $1,000. You're supposed to make money with energy, not lose money. Here in Europe, we've seen the fate that the radical left tried to impose on America. They tried very hard. Germany now generates 22% less electricity than it did in 2017. And it's not the current chancellor's fault. He's solving the problem. He's going to do a great job. But what they did before he got there, I guess that's why he got there. And electricity prices are 64% higher. The United Kingdom produces just 1/3 of the total energy from all sources that it did in 1999. Think of that, 1/3. And they're sitting on top of the North Sea, one of the greatest reserves anywhere in the world, but they don't use it. And that's one reason why their energy has reached catastrophically low levels with equally high prices. High prices, very low levels. Think of that, 1/3. And you're sitting on top of the North Sea, and they like to say, well, you know, that's depleted. It's not depleted. It's got 500 years. They haven't even found the oil. The North Sea is incredible. They don't let anybody drill. Environmentally, they don't let them drill. They make it impossible for the oil companies to go. They take 92% of the revenues. So the oil companies say, we can't do it. They came to see me. Is there anything you can do? I want Europe to do great. I want UK to do great. Sitting on one of the greatest energy sources in the world, and they don't use it. In fact, their electricity prices have soared 139%. There are windmills all over Europe. There are windmills all over the place, and they are losers. One thing I've noticed is that the more windmills a country has, the more money that country loses and the worse that country is doing. China makes almost all of the windmills, and yet I haven't been able to find any wind farms in China. Did you ever think of that? It's a good way of looking at it.
You know what? He just lied. They got the largest wind farm in the world.
They sell them to the stupid people that buy them.
He's still saying this lie.
Yeah.
They put up a couple of big wind farms, but they don't use them. They just put them up to show people what they could look like. They don't spin. They don't do anything. They use a thing called coal, mostly. China goes with the coal. They go with oil and gas. They're starting to look at nuclear a little bit. And they're doing just fine. They make a fortune selling the windmills, though. And I think really that's one that they wouldn't be surprised.
All right. If he says Greenland, we all drink and hit buy.
They were very friendly with me. They're shocked that people continue to buy those damn things. They killed the birds. They ruin your landscapes. Other than that, I think they're fabulous, by the way. Stupid people buy them. The consequences of such destructive policies have been stark, including lower economic growth, lower standards of living, lower birth rates, more socially disruptive migration, more vulnerability to hostile foreign adversaries, and much, much smaller militaries. The United States cares greatly about the people of Europe. We really do. I mean, look, I am derived from Europe, Scotland and Germany, 100% Scotland, my mother, 100% German, my father. And we believe deeply in the bonds we share with Europe as a civilization. I want to see it do great. That's why issues like energy, trade, immigration, and economic growth must be central concerns to anyone who wants to see a strong and united West.
Yeah, that was de-escalatory, so
gold
falling.
Have to do their thing. They have to get out of the culture that they've created over the last 10 years. It's horrible what they're doing to themselves. They're destroying themselves. It's beautiful, beautiful places. We want strong allies, not seriously weakened ones. We want Europe to be strong. Ultimately, these are matters of national security, and perhaps no current issue makes the situation more clear than what's currently going on with Greenland.
Okay, get ready. Oh,
I was going to leave it out of the speech, but I think I would have been reviewed very negatively. I have tremendous respect for both the people of Greenland and the people of Denmark. Tremendous respect. But every NATO ally has an obligation to be able to defend their own territory And the fact is, no nation or group of nations is in any position to be able to secure Greenland other than the United States. We're a great power, much greater than people even understand. I think they found that out 2 weeks ago in Venezuela. We saw this in World War II when Denmark fell to Germany after just 6 hours of fighting and was totally unable to defend either itself or Greenland. So the United States was then compelled, we did it, we felt an obligation to do it, to send our own forces to hold the Greenland territory. And hold it we did, at great cost and expense. They didn't have a chance of getting on it, and they tried. Denmark knows that. We literally set up bases on Greenland for Denmark. We fought for Denmark. We weren't fighting for anyone else. We were fighting to save it for Denmark. Big, beautiful piece of ice. It's hard to call it land. It's a big piece of ice. But we saved Greenland and successfully prevented our enemies from gaining a foothold in our hemisphere. So we did it for ourselves also. And then after the war, which we won it big. Without us, right now you'd all be speaking German and a little Japanese, perhaps. After the war, we gave Greenland back to Denmark. How stupid were we to do that? But we did it. But we gave it back. But how ungrateful are they now? So now our country and the world face much greater risks than it did ever before because of missiles, because of nuclear, because of weapons of warfare that I can't even talk about. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles went up.
What is he talking about?
Yeah, the invasion of Venezuela.
To the people that sent it, they said, what the hell is going on? Those defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess. Greenland is a vast, almost entirely uninhabited and undeveloped territory. It's sitting undefended in a key strategic location between the United States, Russia, and China. That's exactly where it is, right smack in the middle. Wasn't important nearly when we gave it back. You know, when we gave it back, it wasn't the same as it is now. It's not important for any other reason, you know, everyone talks about the minerals. There's so many places. There's no rare earth. No such thing as rare earth. There's rare processing. But there's so much rare earth. And just to get to this rare earth, you got to go through hundreds of feet of ice. That's not the reason we need it. We need it for strategic national security and international security. This enormous unsecured island is actually part of North America, on the northern frontier of the Western Hemisphere. That's our territory. It is therefore a core national security interest of the United States of America. And in fact, it's been our policy for hundreds of years to prevent outside threats from entering our hemisphere. And we've done it very successfully. We've never been stronger than we are now. That's why American presidents have sought to purchase Greenland for nearly 2 centuries. You know, for 2 centuries they've been trying to.
You guys been taking any trades?
They kept it. After
no, there's nothing really.
They had a different president. That's all right. People think differently. Much more necessary now than it was at that time, however. In 2019, Denmark said that they would spend over $200 million to strengthen Greenland's defenses. But as you know, they spent less than 1% of that amount. 1%.
Oh, look at this.
No sign of Denmark there.
Oh.
And I say that with great respect for Denmark, whose people I love, whose leaders are very good.
Yeah.
It's the United States alone that can protect this giant mass of land.
Okay, Mike,
that's why you can't trade it.
Yep.
And make it.
Now I'm gonna tell you what. I'm gonna tell you what I did though.
Good for us.
And that's
I
the
put in
reason
a
I'm
buy.
seeking immediate
I mean a sale.
negotiations to
Oh,
once
nice.
again discuss the
Yeah.
Make
acquisition
on it.
deal by
Yeah, I
the
did.
United States.
Nice.
Just as we have acquired many other territories throughout our history, as many of the European nations have. They've acquired
I
stuff
just
along
came
with
out
it.
of my buy,
Many of
and I said,
them,
this thing going
some went
down.
in reverse, actually. If you look, some had great vast wealth, great vast lands all over the world. They went in reverse. They stuck back where they started. That happens too.
I'll
But
come
some
back and
grow.
trade it later today or tomorrow.
But this
I'm
would
not going to
not
do
be
anything
a
today.
threat
I'll
to
let it just
NATO.
work
This
its
would
way out.
greatly
Yeah.
enhance the security of
After
the
he's
entire
done
alliance, the
speaking,
NATO
which could be
alliance. The
3
United
hours
States
from
is
now.
treated
Right.
very unfairly by
Exactly.
NATO. Let me tell
He'll
you
probably
that.
be done soon. I think he's on a clock.
When you think
But
about it, nobody can dispute it. We give so much,
I can't
and we
listen to
get
him
so
anymore.
little in return. And I've
I'll
been a
check
critic
you
of NATO.
guys
yeah,
later.
I could turn it
Listen,
off if it's better.
no. I can't trade it.
All right.
Greatest president in the world of all time.
The war with Ukraine is an example. We are thousands of miles away, separated by a giant ocean.
That
It's
was,
a war that
you
should
don't
never
really
have
know what to do
started,
at this
and it
point.
wouldn't
Oh,
have
while he
started if
talking, it
the
might go up,
2020
down,
U.S.
all around, never
presidential
know.
election weren't
Yeah.
rigged. It was a rigged election. Everybody
Because I was
knows
a
that. They
30
found
pip
out.
drop.
People will soon be prosecuted for what they did. It's probably breaking news, but it should be. It was a rigged election. Can't have rigged elections. You
Oh
need strong
God,
borders,
still.
strong elections, and ideally
Jesus.
good press. I always say it. Strong borders,
It was rigged.
strong elections, free, fair elections, and a fair media. The media is terrible. It's very crooked. It's very biased, terrible. But someday it'll straighten out because it's losing all credibility. Think of it. When I went in a landslide, a giant landslide, won all 7 swing states, won the popular vote, won everything, and they only get negative press. That means that it has no credibility. And if they're going to get credibility, they're going to have to be fair. So you need a fair press. But you also need those other elements. And
Is y'all
inherited
a 15-minute not moving now?
terrible,
Mine's
terrible
moving now.
situation.
It's been stuck.
If you look, the border was open.
Oh,
The
mine's
inflation
moving.
was raging. Everything was
Yeah, it's
bad
back
with
to
the
moving
United
now.
States when I came into office. But I also inherited a mess with Ukraine and Russia, something that would have never happened. And I know Putin very well. He and I would discuss Ukraine. It was the apple of his eye, but he wasn't going to do anything. I said, Vladimir, you're not doing it. He would never have done it. It was terrible what happened. I could see it happening too. After I left, I could see it happening. Biden had given Ukraine and NATO $350 billion, a staggering sum, $350 billion. I came in and just like the southern border, just like inflation, just like our economy, I said, wow, this place is in trouble, meaning our country. All of these things were out of control. But the border was out of control. We fixed it with the strongest border anywhere in the world. And I've now been
Yeah, I'm gonna let this play out myself,
for
bro.
1 year, during which time I settled 8 other wars.
All right. You
India,
guys want to come back
Pakistan,
later, or what do you want to do?
Afghanistan,
Should we
other
call
wars
it here or what?
Vladimir Putin called me.
Tono, you're gone, right? You left? Oh no, he's still
Nah,
there.
he's still there.
He said, I can't believe you settled that one. They were going
I
on
don't think
for
he can hear you.
35 years.
Oh no,
I settled it in 1 day.
I can
And
can hear E-Man, but I can't hear you.
he said, you know, I can't believe I worked on that war for 10 years trying to settle it. I couldn't do it. I said, do me a favor, focus on settling your war. Don't worry
Can't.
about that.
What about
Can't.
now?
Oh, now I
Yeah,
can. Yep.
we hear you.
What does
Okay,
the
cool.
United
Yeah.
States get
No, I'll
out
come
of
back
all
later
this
because
work, all
ain't
of this
nothing happened here.
All right.
money
Yeah.
other than
All right, I see
death,
y'all.
All right,
destruction,
guys.
loss of
I'll
All right,
catch you
brother.
later. All right.
Peace.
Bye bye.
cash
All right.
going to people who don't appreciate what we do. They don't appreciate what we do. Talking about NATO, I'm talking about Europe. They have to work on Ukraine. We don't. The United States is very far away. We have a big, beautiful ocean separating us. We have nothing to do with it. Until I came along, NATO was only supposed to pay 2% of GDP. But they weren't paying. Most of the countries weren't paying anything. The United States was paying for virtually 100% of NATO. And I got that stopped. I said, that's not fair. But then more importantly, I got
NATO to pay 5%, and now they were paying, and now they are paying. So something nobody said was possible. They said we will never go up higher than 2%. But they went to 5%, and now they're paying the 5. They didn't pay the 2, and now they're paying the 5. And they're stronger for it, and they have an excellent, by the way, Secretary General who's possibly in the room. Mark, are you here? Yes, he's here. Hello, Mark. We never asked for anything, and we never got anything. We probably won't get anything unless I decide to use excessive strength and force where we would be, frankly, unstoppable. But I won't do that. Okay? Now everyone's saying, oh, good. That's probably the biggest statement I made, because people thought I would use force. I don't have to use force. I don't want to use force. I won't use force. All the United States is asking for is a place called Greenland, where we already had it, as a trustee, but respectfully returned it back to Denmark not long ago after we defeated the Germans, the Japanese, the Italians, and others in World War II. We gave it back to them. We were a powerful force then, but we are a much more powerful force now. After I rebuilt the military in my first term and continue to do so today, we have a budget of $1.5 trillion. We're bringing back battleships. The battleship is 100 times more powerful than the great battleships you saw in World War II, those great, big, gorgeous ships, the Missouri, the Iowa, the Alabama. Because I thought maybe we could take them out of mothballs. They said, no, sir, these ships are 100, think of that, 100 times more powerful than those big, magnificent pieces of art that you saw so many times ago, that you still see on television. You say, wow, what a force. 100 times, each ship 100 times more powerful than the big battleships of the past. So that was the end of the mothball story. So what we have gotten out of NATO is nothing except to protect Europe from the Soviet Union and now Russia. I mean, we've helped them for so many years. We've never gotten anything, except we pay for NATO. And we paid for many years until I came along. We paid for, in my opinion, 100% of NATO because they weren't paying their bills. And all we're asking for is to get Greenland, including right title and ownership, because you need the ownership to defend it. You can't defend it on a lease. Number one, legally it's not defensible that way, totally. And number two, psychologically, who the hell wants to defend a license agreement or a lease, which is a large piece of ice in the middle of the ocean where if there is a war, much of the action will take place on that piece of ice. Think of it. Those missiles would be flying right over the center of that piece of ice. All we want from Denmark for national and international security and to keep our very energetic and dangerous potential enemies at bay is this land on which we're going to build the greatest golden dome ever built. We're building a golden dome that's going to, just by its very nature, going to be defending Canada. Canada gets a lot of freebies from us, by the way. They should be grateful also, but they're not. I watched your prime minister yesterday. He wasn't so grateful. But they should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. What we did for Israel was amazing, but that's nothing compared to what we have planned for the United States, Canada, and the rest of the world. We are going to build a dome like no other. We did it for Israel. And by the way, I told Bibi, stop taking credit for the dome. That's our technology. That's our stuff. But they had a lot of courage, and they were good fighters, and they did a good job, and we wiped out the Iran nuclear threat like nobody can believe. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. That, Venezuela, taking down Soleimani, wiping out al-Baghdadi when he tried to reinstitute ISIS. We did a lot. I did a lot of big things. all perfectly executed. Everyone was perfectly executed. Somebody told me that, a military expert told me, sir, everything you've done has been perfectly executed. I said, I know. So other presidents have spent, whether foolishly or not, trillions and trillions of dollars on NATO and gotten absolutely nothing in return. We've never asked for anything. It's always a one-way street. Now they want us to help them with Ukraine. And let me say, we're going to. I'm really helping, not even them. I want to see, last week, if you saw, it was 10,000 soldiers, but last month it was 31,000 soldiers died. 31,000. That's this room times, the number of people in this room times 30. Think of it. 30,000 soldiers died in 1 month. The month before it was 27,000. The month before that it was 28,000. The month before that it was 25,000. It's a bloodbath over there. And that's what I want to stop. It doesn't help the United States, but these are souls. These are young people, look like you, look like some of you right in the front row. They go to war. Their parents are so proud. Oh, there he goes, comes back. 2 weeks later, they get a call. Your son's head's been blown off. I want to stop it. It's a horrible war. It's the worst since World War II. They keep going. They'll exceed World War II. The numbers are staggering, how many people they've lost. They don't want to talk about it. Ukraine and Russia lost just tremendous amounts. And I'm dealing with President Putin, and he wants to make a deal, I believe. I'm dealing with President Zelensky, and I think he wants to make a deal. I'm meeting him today. He might be in the audience right now. But they got to get that war stopped because too many people are dying, needlessly dying. Too many souls are being lost. It's the only reason I'm interested in doing it. But in doing it, I'm helping Europe, I'm helping NATO, and I've until the last few days when I told them about Iceland, they loved me. They called me daddy, right, last time. A very smart man said, he's our daddy. He's running it. I was like running it. I went from running it to being a terrible human being. But now what I'm asking for is a piece of ice, cold and poorly located, that can play a vital role in world peace and world protection. It's a very small ask compared to what we have given them for many, many decades. But the problem with NATO is that we'll be there for them 100%. But I'm not sure that they'd be there for us. If we gave them the call, gentlemen, we are being attacked. We're under attack by such and such a nation. I know them all very well. I'm not sure that they'd be there. I know we'd be there for them. I don't know that they'd be there for us. So with all of the money we expend, with all of the blood, sweat, and tears, I don't know that they'd be there for us. They're not there for us on Iceland, that I can tell you. I mean, our stock market took the first dip yesterday because of Iceland. So Iceland's already cost us a lot of money. But that dip is peanuts compared to what it's gone up. And we have an unbelievable future in that stock. That stock market is going to be doubled. We're going to hit 50,000, and that stock market's going to double in a relatively short period of time because of everything that's happening. But this is a good example. After giving NATO and European nations trillions and trillions of dollars in defense, they buy our weapons. We make the greatest weapons in the world, but now we're going to make them faster, much faster. You saw that. I put a cap on the salaries. Then I put no buybacks, no stock buybacks, no various other things that they were doing. I mean, they were making $50 million, but it would take them 3 years to give you a Patriot missile. I said, that's not good. My chauffeur can do a better job than that, and he makes slightly less than 50. They make big salaries. If they're going to make those big salaries, they're going to have to produce a lot faster. The good news is we have the greatest equipment in the world. Now we're going to start making it a lot faster. They're going to build additional plants. And all of the money that goes into stock buybacks is going to go into building plants. We're not allowing stock buybacks by defense companies any longer. They're going to build new plants to make Tomahawks, Patriots. We have the best equipment, F-35s. F-47, the new one just coming out. They say it's the most devastating plane, fighter jet ever. Who knows? They called it 47. If I don't like it, I'm going to take the 47 off it. I wonder why they called it 47. We'll have to think about that. But if I don't like it, I'm going to take that 47 off. But it's supposed to be the stage 6. It's supposed to be the first stage 6 plane, undetectable, like our B-2 bombers were undetectable. They flew right over Iran. They were undetectable. And they did their job, and they got the hell out of there. So we want a piece of ice for world protection, and they won't give it. We've never asked for anything else, and we could have kept that piece of land, and we didn't. So they have a choice. You can say yes, and we will be very appreciative, or you can say no, and we will remember. A strong and secure America means a strong NATO, and that's one reason why I'm working every day to ensure our military is very powerful, our borders are very strong, and above all, our economy is strong because national security requires economic security and economic prosperity, and we have the greatest that we've ever had. Biden and his allies destroyed our economy and gave us perhaps the worst inflation in American history. They say 48 years, I say forever, but I think 48 years is the equivalent to forever. Whether it's 48 years or ever, it's terrible. Costing the typical family $33,000. What they did to
All right, YouTube, I'm going
this
to end it
country
here.
should never, ever be forgotten. It's early, but he has to be rated as the worst president we've ever had by far. The auto pen did much of the damage. The auto pen, he was the auto pen president, because I don't believe a sane